Hello, and welcome to a new episode from Forex Forecast from the Markets Middleman. Today is Sunday, December 21, and we are approaching the end of this beautiful year, which had a lot of lessons that we can reflect on. I will make a separate video for the main lessons, technical and psychological lessons from this year, but I will keep that into another video. For today, as usual, we run through the last week and we prepare ourselves and forecast for the week ahead. So as usual, I would like to always start with the DXY weekly time frame, and ever since this last week closed well below this week, we anticipated that the low of this week will be taken, as well as a sell side and a daily gap over here, which we will see on the daily time frame. However, this was the reason, okay, this was the reason for price to move down. But for this week ahead, as you can see, this was the low of previous week, and we couldn't maintain. Bears weren't able to maintain price and the lower boundary of this weekly close. So I think that definitely we're gonna see some relief retracement from the DXY. We have a daily area of interest, but before I move into the daily, because I think after this move to the downside, price is extended to the downside. So I think more rotation lower or deeper retracement will at least maintain the first part of next week. So on the weekly time frame, I really have nothing except this weekly breaker, okay, after this displacement lower, which aligns with the inverse fair value gap. This was the area of interest once we saw this weekly close below, closing bearish below the low of this week, closing below this weekly breaker block, and below this inverse fair value gap. So this area over here on the weekly time frame is still intact. Price can easily still manipulate higher, and then from here we can see if this trend is about to continue or we're gonna see some other form of consolidation, etc. So we'll keep this for price to tell us. However, I'm definitely not bearish on the DXY, at least in the beginning of next week. Now notice that next week we have the Christmas, and I wish you a beautiful Christmas. Of course, markets will be closed before one day, I think, and after one day. So trading volume will decrease, and I think maybe we will not see this wide range of movements. But at least we have the first couple of days, so we can see what price can show us at least Monday and Tuesday. Now on the daily time frame, we see how clearly price respected this sell side, which was our target from this week, and filled up all of this daily gap open. So ever since then, you see how price or buyers actually stepped in, refusing to close this day below the low of previous day, which hinted for a continuation to the upside. Notice this day also closed bullish on the daily, consolidated on Thursday, and we see how Friday just closed above the high of Thursday. So on the daily, we are still bullish. Yes, I do have this daily fair value gap, but this was very important before price swept the sell side. So let's say from here we saw price rotated higher, then yes, this fair value gap would be very important. But just for the fact that price swept the sell side and then moved up, I think it became a little bit weak, or at least I would need to see a definite reaction from this daily fair value gap before I can be bearish again on the DXY. And notice how Friday just closed before it in few points. So from Monday, there's a high chance for this daily fair value gap to be taken. So we will see how price reacts. But I think during the end of the year, maybe this is going to be an extended push to the upside, something as a retracement, a deeper one, etc., just as I told you on the weekly time frame. And also one thing, I think that EU and GU still have some potential to the downside. So if they will go a little bit down, this will definitely go higher than this bearish daily fair value gap. So for that sake, let's check EU and GU and see what kind of setups they are aligning together. So starting EU, On the weekly time frame, notice how this candle closed above the high the next week was bullish. Notice how this candle closed bullish, then the weekly high was definitely taken. So we saw a smaller retrace and then the weekly high was taken. Not only the weekly high, but October 1's high was also taken. So, and we saw how much selling pressure the price faced and refused to close bullish or at least above the high of previous week. So there's definitely some selling pressure on the EU. So I'm not in a hurry at all to buy EU in the next week. Instead, I will wait a deeper retracement. Now this deeper retracement can be something around this daily fair value gap bullish, which aligns perfectly with this breaker block over here. So I'm keeping a close eye on the EU at this daily fair value gap. I think even though price would continue bearish, but at least it will show some reaction from such critical areas. So maybe intraday we will have a kind of bullish reversal or so, but I'm not gonna be very aggressive buying EU and just anticipating another push higher simply because we saw a lot of selling pressure, okay, at this critical buy side of October 1. We saw that price was able to close inside this bullish daily fair value gap. Of course, I cannot take this as inverse straight away, but the fact that it closed inside it means that there's no more buyers interested to hold price from this level over here. And also notice one thing, how Friday closed below the low of Thursday. So on the daily, we are bearish again on the EU after this extended move to the upside. So also like such daily fair value gaps acts as a magnet for price. So there's gonna be something pulling price to the downside. Notice also how after the close below this daily order block, this is the last up closing candle on the daily time frame. So this is the last order block on EU. Notice how Thursday closed below it. Friday's high was testing the order blocks. So I'm definitely not bullish on EU. This is what I meant by if DXY tested the daily fair value gap, which is very near to it, okay, I think EU would still be here. So there's no confirmation yet. Thus, this bearish daily fair value gap is not, or at least I need a very solid confirmation. So again, I'm keeping close eye on this daily fair value gap. I'm being open-minded. Maybe, of course, anything can happen and we can continue the trend to the upside after testing this bullish fair value gap. But at the same time, since we are approaching end of the year, maybe volume will shrink a little bit. Maybe it will just cause a smaller reaction and then we consolidate a little bit going into the end of the year. So this is the outlook on EU. Also, notice how price was trapped, okay, especially after Wednesday. So we had a lot of news, okay, in the last week. So I was avoiding all of this price action, okay. You have a very low probability trading this kind of price action unless you saw that, okay, Thursday swept the high of Wednesday and still respecting this order block on the 4-hour time frame, the last up closing candle which swept the buy side already. So this order block was very important. And the fact that price created a high on Wednesday, then swept the high, and then yes, maybe on the lower time frame there was a reversal pattern over here. But I wanted to make sure that we are again bearish on the higher time frames before I anticipate any setup moving forward. So also the fact that Friday closed below the low of Thursday, maybe we'll see some extra manipulation, but then a move to the downside. And within this level, I'm gonna be um, uh, maybe observing a bullish reversal or so. So this was for EU. And last but not least, quickly catching up with GU. And you see how the week also refused to close bullish. So again, this week closed above the high. This weekly high was taken. Again, another bullish close above the high. This high was taken and also reached a minor buy side. Now, GU still have some buy sides to take, okay, so it can still continue moving up. But notice how this week closed consolidation, okay, leaving behind a small weekly fair value gap. So I think the next week is gonna be bearish, or at least we will see like a bearish wick into this weekly fair value gap before we can continue moving higher. So also on the daily, notice how price just consolidated for the past few days. So of course we can definitely avoid such price action and wait until something develops more clearly. Now, one thing I'm keeping a very close eye on the GU. This is the following, which is the following actually. Notice last week we spoke about the probability of retracing back into a daily order block and then move up, but price had enough retracement from this breaker. Now, why this breaker made sense? Because we still saw a break of structure. Price closed well above this previous buy side, so there's still a displacement to the upside. And this was a 12-hour fair value gap. Inside this 12-hour fair value gap, there was this 4-hour breaker. So price made first push higher through Monday, manipulated lower. There was some news on Tuesday morning, and then delivered full potential into this buy side. Now notice when price reached this buy side, it refused to close above it. So there was no market structure shift at this level, unlike this one over here. They are not like each other. So this told me that, okay, I'm gonna avoid buying GU, no more bullish momentum. So for example, you could be mistaken and take this as a breaker and still buy from here. But this is not coming after a displacement from the buy side. Instead, this was looking more of a sweep, and then we saw a huge change in market structure, turning bearish on the H4. Also, due to heavy news last week, price also still manipulated higher, took the high of Wednesday, and then on the lower time frame confirmed the reversal and still consolidated going the end of last week. So I definitely avoided all of this price action. There was nothing very clear for me yet, and also still not very clear. Notice how the H4 is refusing to break into anyway. So I'm leaning to be bearish simply because we swept minor buy side, we swept this internal buy side again, refused to close bullish. We have a weekly indecision candle, and we have this sell side that was created during last week, and of course the weekly fair value gap that starts from this sell side and into this buy side over here. So inside this weekly fair value gap, we have this 4-hour fair value gap resting just below this sell side liquidity. This is very important. And why this fair value gap is very important? Simply because it is nested beside or at a breaker block. So this is a mitigation. Okay, this is a mitigation block between a sell side and a fair value gap. Notice also this low. So there's a very strong objective for price to push into the downside. So I'm keeping a very close eye. Either a confirmed reversal, okay, from this level, okay, maybe we can see something like this. Maybe Monday will create a high, okay, and then Tuesday would sweep the high of Monday. Then we can have something confirmed, breaking this breaker block over here. Then I have something definite to short into this level. However, in case I couldn't be bearish, but I saw price trading around this level over here, I'm gonna definitely be focusing into a bullish reversals, at least if we don't want to continue this push to the upside, at least to cover an internal buy side. So this level over here for GU is really very important, aligning the higher time frame with the H4 and how price is just accumulating. So yeah, one more manipulation to the downside before continuation would make a lot of sense. Of course, anything can happen, and this level can actually make a small retracement and then push lower. Yes, okay, but at such critical levels, at least the market would react from it. And then you can either, if you bought already, you can then trail break even or just trail your stop loss into a low that was created, etc. So that was it really. There's nothing, this week is unlike other weeks where we sit on the weekend and we have a very clear plan for the week ahead. This week is telling us something else. It's telling us, okay, be patient in the beginning of the week. We have also holidays, so I expect volume to drop significantly, and of course we have a couple of days that the markets will be closed definitely. So yeah, being patient. I'm gonna start prepare. I already prepared a lot of stuff for this year, but I will prepare a nice recap for the major lessons, things that I upgraded on my approach, most important things to keep in mind for 2026. So I try to share with you almost everything I passed through this year, my lessons, etc., and the things that I'm keeping in mind, and some other plans as well. So, hope you enjoyed this update and as well as your weekend. Take very good care of yourself. Enjoy this Christmas. Check up on your family, your friends. Really enjoy this time because we're about to have a great year ahead. So, thank you again for making it that far into this video, and I will see you in the next update. Let's go.